So, we got to talk about this bi-wig episode of Basketball Wives. Specifically, we're talking about Basketball Wives season 11, episode 8, Not So Magic Mike. Okay. I don't even know where to begin with this particular episode other than I almost felt like I was watching an episode of a Zeus show named Baddies. Did anybody else feel like that at one point? But I know I did. And it forced me to ask myself, I mean, am I being hypocritical, right? And the reason I ask myself that is, we like the drama, we want to be entertained, but for some reason, I don't know why this particular wig snatch moment, it didn't feel it fell flat for me. And I think I know the reason why. So I feel like I don't know Clayana well enough to care that her wig was snatched. I just don't. If it had been Jennifer's wig who was snatched or Brooke's wig who was snatched, but I think all Brooke's hair is hers. So I don't know. I think that again, I Cleanna is not a big enough factor for me to really care that she was actually even wearing a wig in the first place. I'm actually more concerned about why she always seems so slumped over in that confessional. It's like, why is she sitting like this? Why is she leaning forward like that has anybody else wanted that? I know it can't just be me. I know it can't just be me. Like, it feels like she's telling a secret to the interviewer. You know what I mean? And I feel like for me, I know I'm digressing here, but I'm somebody who is 6'3". And I feel like I ain't always got the best posture because I feel like the world is made for people who are really 5'10". Trust and believe me when I say this, because when I go look in a mirror in a public place, I got to lean down. You know what I'm saying? And that 6'3", that ain't fun. When I'm getting on an airplane, I got to stoop. When I walk through the cabin, I got to stoop. When I'm in the bathroom in the airplane, I'm stooped. So I don't understand why Cleanna, who looked to be about 5'2" at the most, is stooped in this confessional. Somebody riddle me that. What is wrong? Is she tired? Like, is she not? And the other thing about it is, I feel like the problem with Cleanna, in my opinion, is that she does not know how to play the game, right? Of Basketball Wives. And I feel like conversely, Brittany does not know what game she's playing, which is both refreshing but a little bit concerning for I feel like she's not going to last very long on this show. I don't know why I feel like that, but I do. Okay. I don't know why. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but it's really given I'm a quit midway through vibes. That's what it's given to me. Um, so let's get into it, right? If I had to rate this episode on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving it a 7. Because I also feel like every episode I'm waiting for something. What I'm waiting for, I don't know. Half the group can barely be bothered to show up to the events and stuff like that. So it's always 5 players, on the court at one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, not everybody wants to show up to everything. And I'm like, ain't y'all gotta be there? I mean, listen, I'm fine if the reality is that a person wants to sit out of something, because that is bound to happen. But I'm not always fine with it when it continuously happens. You understand what I'm saying? If it's every episode somebody ain't showing up to something, I'm like, didn't you might y'all not just want to film another day? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the episode, okay? Now, Brooke is back in LA, and Steven, her ex. Was this the ex-husband? I can't recall because honestly, I just felt like it's been so long ago. Anyway, her ex comes over to bring her dog. I guess he was taking care of the dog while she was away on the vacation down to the Arizona. And she talks to him about her event, that she is going to be having for, her daughter Kayla, who unfortunately passed. And she's doing this in her memory. Now, she's going to talk to cosmetology school students to provide financial assistance to the students. That's the goal of this. And Steven is going to help her. Back in Arizona, Brittany wants to include Clayana for a little Bonnie and Clayana vibes at Jackie's strip club event. Am I mad at it? No. Do I think it's going to go well? No. Because again, as I stated earlier, Clayana does not know how to play the game of basketball wives at this point. While I don't listen, basketball wives has always been steeped in a little bit of violence. I mean, let's just call a thing a thing. I told y'all I remember back in the days where I watched the show so on edge that somebody was gonna get it in every episode. You know, I always was stress watching, but it was maximum enjoyment way back in the day, right? Now, not so much. Okay, not so much because really and truthfully, if I wanted to see all of this fighting and carrying on, I would just turn on the Zeus. I don't have a subscription to that service. I'm not knocking that service, but I'm just saying that I am on a different vibration than the shows on Zeus provide. And that is fine because that is meant for somebody. It's just not me. So this is not me dissing them or anything like that. I'm just letting you know that the shows that get the most promotion are the ones on Zeus that seem to be the most violent. And for somebody like me in the stage of life that I'm at currently, that level of vibration is just not where I'm at. And I got to be honest with you. Even so much so that I oftentimes wonder as I'm sitting watching some of these shows, how much longer can I stand this vibration? Because so much of what we see on reality TV feels low. Okay. So anyway, that's just me being real and honest and truthful with y'all, to be very honest with you. I'm just letting you know where I am in my current life, right? And I feel like a lot of you guys are getting there too, based on the comment section on the videos. All right. Anyway, and the other reason I say Clayana doesn't know how to play this game is because she hasn't allowed the audience to get to know her well enough to care about her and all of these messy issues that she has with the ladies. If we had gotten to know her story, or if we felt like we could sympathize with her on some level other than maybe a shared dislike of another cast member, but it's got to be more than that for me to root for you, right? Because for some people it'll be the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but that it really ain't a friendship. It's just a kinship. It's just a shared dislike of another person. I.e., for some of you, that will be Evelyn. I.e., for some of you, that will be Jennifer, right? But it's not enough. It's not enough. And in order to have longevity in this game, you got to bring something other than fighting in every episode, because every episode you get carted away and you're the one being carted away. And why haven't you realized that yet? Nobody else is being carted away. It's you. So that would lead me to believe that you are not enough of a factor for even production to care about keeping you there to discuss the aftermath of whatever happened. You are the person that's always being escorted off, whether you were at fault or not. Like, you have got to learn to play the game. The reality of basketball wives. Some of you may not like what I'm saying, but it's the truth. It's the truth. And we got to face the truth. Anyway, Jackie goes to check on Vanessa. All right. Vanessa reveals that she had a conversation with Evelyn about Isaiah and the cheating and all of those things, and how it just brought up a lot of emotions within her that have not been resolved with Isaiah. And so she's going to skip out on the event because she hasn't really healed. And again, had this been a onesie, maybe that she ain't want to be at an event, but this is a twosie for her. Okay. This is a twosie. Now, I don't know how many more of these absences I'm going to be able to tolerate. Okay. Now, again, when we talked about Married to Medicine yesterday, a lot of you in the chat were like, well, Quad already said that she was told by production to go. Now, that's fine because we know that there's an undercurrent of production made me do it, hence the show existing. Okay, but there's also has to be the element of I ain't doing that. Like, for what? Okay, like, does it make sense for me to do, right? That's also following the reality. So I get sometimes you gotta give a little, right? And in these, and sometimes you gotta not give a little, because that's also reality. When I did my show, there were certain things that I did that production asked me to do. There were certain things that I said, no, I am not doing that. Okay. And you can't make me, period. No, I didn't say it like that. I just said that doesn't feel natural to me. And so if it didn't feel natural and it stuck in my heart to do, I wouldn't do it. Right. So when we talk about these shows, we're talking about what we see happening on the screen playing out as if it were real, and then sometimes we'll also touch on the behind the scenes production of it all. And I need for you guys to realize that when we're having these discussions. So when I talk about what's happening or what's not happening, I understand that there's a production element to it, but I'm simply talking about how things played out on the screen, right? And for me, this being the second time that Vanessa is skipping something, I'm kind of like, well, girl, like, what show are we having? Brooke has already left. There's also got to be this thing of like, okay, am I going to be a team player in this moment because Brooke is not there, so that's leaving 5 ladies. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still got to work to make some magic happen. So you have to be judicious with when you pull that card. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so then Jackie then takes the girls to a strip club, and it's feeling like a real bachelorette party. Jackie and Jennifer and Evelyn are in one van, and then for some reason it feels like I don't know why Brittany and Jaceel are in another van. Why didn't they just put them all together? Because it seemed like the Sprinter vans were big enough, but I digress. Anyway, Evelyn reveals how deep her conversation went with Vanessa, and she has compassion for her, which is nice. I do feel like Vanessa and Evelyn can just, honestly, they can be friends, or at least frenemies, because, I feel like seeing them go back and forth is actually pretty hilarious to me. But also seeing them come together is nice too. Then we get to the strip club, and the girls seem like they're ready to have a good time, but Jen ain't trying to get no lap dances. She ain't trying to have her man see that. And Brittany lets the girls know that she invited Clayanna'S for their last night in Arizona. Evelyn is just going to ignore her, and Jackie puts her sunglasses on. And so Jackie is giving a little interesting energy in this episode, in this moment. It's kind of giving, I don't really want Clayanna'S to be here, but then when Clayanna'S does arrive, it's, hey girl, I got some dollars for you. Come on over, baby. I mean, that's what it's giving. It's real interesting. They're gonna see male strippers. I prefer female strippers, to be honest with you guys. I just do. I feel like they do more. I feel like they're more exciting. It's something a lot sexier about it. That's just me. Clayanna'S, when she does arrive, okay. That's when I noticed that she was linked over in that confessional, like, girl, what's going on here? Anyway, Evelyn volunteers for a strip dance, a lap dance, or whatever they call it. And the next thing you know, they playing WAP. There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house. And Jennifer gets to being petty and pointing at Clayanna'S. Now, see, Jennifer, you already know that Clayanna'S is a spark plug, and you are not, okay? You are not going to be able to handle whatever Clayanna'S gives you. So I do think if you ain't bout it like that, then you probably need to just stay in the cutterage, I mean, I just do. Because at this point, we know Clayanna'S is a spark plug, right? We know that it don't take much to light the fuse, and she's gonna be ready to rumble like a little Tasmanian devil. Anyway, at that point, Clayana starts pointing back when there's some holes in this house. Okay, that's fine. Evelyn, for some reason, pipes in and is like, what you doing, girl? What you doing? What you doing? So Clayana then runs over. She tells Brit, what's going on. And she's like, it's a double standard up in here, up in this house, along with the hose. And so Clayana then tells Brittany and Jaceel, okay, what happened. And Jaceel is like trying to play the middleman. So at that point, Jaceel runs back over because they ain't that far from each other when all the dancing is going on. Jaceel runs back over and says, Jen, she think you doing this and this and this and this. And Jen is like, and I was. Okay, so Jaceel is like, oh, okay then. Okay, bye. And so she goes back over to Clayana and says, well, yeah, she said she did it. Okay. She was being petty. And at that point, Jaceel is like, that's a conversation that needs to happen between you and Jennifer because I is out of it. Okay. Brittany is looking like all of this is real immature. And Brittany, you are correct. Okay. So at that point, after Jaceel tells Clayana that, Clayana get to taking off them shoes. Clayana, like, you also need to learn how to fight these battles with your words if you want to stay on these types of shows, right? Because that's really what it is. It's about being able to verbally spar with someone and that be it. Now, granted, I ain't gonna even lie. We when something builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and it's two people that we care about, when they get into it, we kind of like, now wait a minute now. Okay, now this is crazy. But Clayana, we don't know nor care enough about you, and you don't know that yet. So you get to taking off your shoes and she get to rolling up on Jennifer. Now, at this point, I ain't never seen her stand so tall because in her confessional, she is slumped. But in this moment, she is standing real tall over Jennifer, looking like, I mean, I don't know what she was doing, if it was some level of intimidation tactic or whatnot. Now, if it was any other person, I don't know if she would have done it like that per se. But because it's Jennifer, who we know is not gonna clap back, is not gonna really do no fighting or whatnot. You probably would have been able to mollywop her and get away with it had Evelyn not been there or security. However, technically they say she didn't touch him. However, if you dash over to somebody and you stand over them in a threatening way, that somebody you don't know how they're going to respond, right? Because if she had given you the uppercut, you would have been looking crazy because you in her personal space at that point in time. And we know what happens when you get in people's personal spaces on these types of shows. I told y'all, every time it's starting to go up, it's about to go down. And at that point in time, security then rushes over. Now, I can't see what all was going on. Somehow or another, Evelyn then snatched the lady wig off, okay? Now, which was a surprise to me because, I don't know much about algebra. I don't know much about wigology. But what I do know is maybe it was a good wig because I did not know it was a wig. I thought that was her natural hair growing out of her scalp, okay? Now, ain't nothing wrong with a little wigorization, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, I mean, why not? It's fun. Change it up, mix it up, and protect your hair, do all the things. I love it. It's exciting to me. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, I did not know it was the wig. So anyway, when the wig gets snatched, Clayana, of course, because she's the lesser known party who was not in the credits, she gets carted off. And now she's wondering, why am I being carted off? Girl, you're not a main cast member. Girl, we don't know who you are. Girl, basically, you are an extra. Any other questions? Okay. That's it. That's the reason. Okay. Like, and you got to notice that, why am I being carted off every single time? Because they don't care enough about you to keep you there. You don't add enough to the story. You have only survived and thrived on this show in conflict. So, therefore, you are the person that's being carted off and you have zero seniority. Is it right? Maybe not. But is it the reality? Yes. Why have you not learned that at this point in time? Brittany probably would have been better served telling her, like, girl, like, do it in a smart way. Like, but the problem with that is Brittany, and as I stated earlier, Clayana doesn't know how to play the game of basketball wives. Brittany doesn't know what game she's playing. Okay? Because Brittany feels like, oh, this is all so beneath me. I mean, it wasn't beneath you when you were throwing that drink at Brooke, but it's beneath you today. Okay? And I am also a fan of just because I did something yesterday, don't mean I'm gonna do it again today. We are allowed to change. And at the end of the day, while I do think it's interesting that Brittany has that thought, considering that she was ready to give Brooke the splash down, and what we know now is that she had an altercation with Jackie from the jump. It's real interesting to see her have this thought now, but she's correct, okay? Because what I see next is Evelyn get to jump. She trying to take off her shoes. She trying to run and get Clayana. And I'm like, girl, what in the show, girls, are you doing right now? You know you're not going to be able to get to her through security because you couldn't get through security at that point. I mean, you did enough to snatch her wig, but nothing else. And at this big age, why are you running around screaming, trying to run and fight this girl outside the club? For what? For what? To prove that you are now in a better place with Jen, who you yourself a few seasons ago were trying to fight? I get it. Y'all, you've grown past it and you're over the issue, but have you changed, right? Have you changed? Because at this point in time, all I see is you hopping up and down on the chairs, twirling this wig like a helicopter. You know what I'm saying? Bouncing and a twerking. And I'm really feeling like I'm watching Baddies on Zeus. And to me, I feel like it was given, again, I'm not knocking Zeus. I'm not knocking that show. But for me, that level of twirling around the wig like a helicopter is giving low vibrational plate energy that I don't want. It's giving real bioengineered chicken tenders. Okay? Because y'all notice what they serve it at these restaurants. I don't know that now. JK, okay? That's my theory. But anyway, yeah, so I was just like, what am I watching? So Brittany, to me, is correct in her thinking. I was just kind of like, this is rich coming from you because you was just throwing drinks and just trying to fight Jackie in the first episode. But I digress because maybe she's grown. A lot more than I can say for Evelyn at this point. Anyway, you know, in the van, Ev is, wanting to FaceTime Brooke because she put the wig on. Now, I don't know about putting nobody else's wig on my head, but maybe that's how things go. Ladies, let me know. Okay. Do y'all just run around and throw anybody else's wig on their head? Especially when she's been at the club. She probably was sweating under that thing too. Anyway, they FaceTime Brooke with Clayanna'S wig on. Meanwhile, Brittany and Jaceel are annoyed AF at the petty immaturity. Back in LA, Brooke meets with a player for the New York Giants to talk about the foundation, and he's gonna, donate a jersey for them to auction off. I'm much more interested in this than I am the wiggerization of it all. She's hoping to raise at least $20,000. Back in Arizona, everybody is packing to leave, and Jaceel stops by to see Brittany to find out what she's wearing to brunch. And Brittany is not going to brunch. Yet another event. Somebody else is skipping. It's like everybody's skipping the events. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. If y'all like it, I love it. I'll roll with it. So she needs some time to recalibrate, because, Clayana went home early, her bestie. And I feel like Brittany, and I wrote in my notes, I feel like Brittany's not going to last too long on this show. And Brittany also doesn't understand why Evelyn was not neutral in this situation. Meanwhile, at the brunch, Jaceel arrives drained, and Vanessa is also surprised. Vanessa has deigned, as you know, she's deigned to grace us with her presence. Finally, thank you for showing up, babes. Um, there's a discussion about seeing Clayanna'S standing over top of Jen, and Jaceel reveals that Brittany didn't want to come because she felt like Clayanna'S was trying to get along with the girls, until she wasn't. And as I stated before, every battle that Clayanna'S fights cannot be a physical one. Like a physical battle over somebody pointing at you and calling you a hoe, and you just call them one back. I mean, it is what it is. At this point, have a conversation with her if you want. Like, I don't appreciate what you're saying to me or about me, and I feel like you're trying to come at me. And what is that? What is this energy about? Because I mean, y'all, what is the real beef that y'all got? It's not really that deep. Anyway, um, like I said, even Evelyn has the notion that Clayanna'S could have had the same level of conversation with Jennifer that she did with Jaceel. But I also think that the difference is that Jennifer was also trying to taunt her and being petty. And again, when you're trying to be petty with somebody and they get petty back with you, you can't be mad, too mad. You know what I'm saying? You can't be, I mean, it's just you gotta understand that for every action, there can also be a reaction, especially when those actions can be considered aggressive. All right. Vanessa promises not to do any more investigations on Jennifer or anybody else unless she's asked. Okay. And she's grateful to Evelyn for their conversation. Back in LA, Jen is chilling with her man. He surprised her with a new puppy. Thank God they got over that scam. Anyway, I like Jennifer's man. He seems like he has pretty good energy to me. As long as she likes it, I love it. She reveals that Vanessa did have a file on him, and he does not seem to. It doesn't seem like he's bothered by any of this. Because Jennifer feels like she read Vanessa her rights, and she feels like Vanessa has some deflecting that she's doing in her own life. Over at Evelyn's, she gets a call from Levon, and he's coming out there to speak soon for a speaking engagement, and so they're going to meet then. The way he got off the phone, it was like, well, we ain't going to talk until I see you again. Anyway, Brooke is going to speak to some of the ladies at the beauty college. She's with her son, and Jaceel joins her, and this is the first week the salon will be accepting estheticians, and they will be providing a $500 scholarship for the first student who enrolls. Jaceel then meets up with Brittany to catch up, and Brittany didn't feel like she wanted to get into much with the girls. And I feel like what I don't like that Brittany is doing, where this would work in real life, but it doesn't work on the show as much to me, is that, like most people, she is taking the time to process her feelings, which I like. But I would also like for her to just go ahead and vocalize her opinions because she knows she feels them. Like she's settled on it because she's saying she settled on it when she's having these side conversations with Clayanna'S and Jaceel. Say it to the girls, right? Play the game. That's what I mean. But I feel like oftentimes I don't think that Brittany knows what game she's playing. Whereas Clayanna'S didn't know how to play the game. Clayanna'S knew what game she was playing. Brittany doesn't know what game she's playing, but she knows how to play the game. Does that make sense? Think about it. Anyway, she feels like the group has been a lot for her. She's really affected by what happened with Clayanna'S. And Jaceel then reveals that Ev was, just trying to be a friend to Jen with Clayanna'S standing over top of her. And so Brittany is starting to feel like, well, Jaceel, you waffling a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You playing the fence. But she also Brittany feels like Jen started it and wasn't ready when Clayanna'S came back at her. So, Brittany feels like for Ev, it was crazy because when she and Brooke weren't getting along, she felt like she didn't antagonize Brooke, right? But conversely, when Clayana and Jen weren't getting along, Jen had no problem antagonizing Clayana, which is true. So Giselle then reveals that Ev felt like Brittany was picking a side when she didn't need to insert herself. And Brittany feels like, well, that's real rich, considering the fact that Evelyn involved herself in the Jen and Clayana beef. And Giselle says that they need to have a chat. I don't know if that chat is going to happen next week or not because they don't really show it in the preview. But I'm interested to see where this season is going. I feel like it feels directionless. Is it just me? Somebody let me know in the chatterization down below. Let me know what you guys think. I can't wait to read your reactions to this video. With that being said, I will catch you all in the next one.